Welcome back to the channel. We've got another little side tangent from the wonderful world of GURPS tonight. Delving into a little bit of Ars Magica, a game, as you can see here, this is an old version. This is the third edition I think it is. I can't even tell you. Let's look at the front here, maybe it'll say third edition, I believe in 92. This was, yeah, third edition, 1992 this was published. I bought this back in probably 93, 94-ish, and read it a little bit, never understood it as a 12-year-old, 13-year-old, and certainly never played it. Made a character once, I think that was it. Kind of fast forward 30 years later, and there has been a 5th edition released. And so I just bought that recently, and that came in the mail yesterday, which is a lot of fun. So I've been doing some reading on that, and the reasons that I kind of picked this up, well, it just happened to come across my kind of social media feed lately, and I was like, oh yeah, I remember that book. Pulled mine out just a few months ago, actually, out of the storage in my parents' basement. That was the first time I'd seen it in 30 years. I'd forgotten all about owning that. And yeah, and then again, I just saw online that there was a 5th edition. I hadn't kept up with the new releases of the game, obviously. So I was surprised to see that, and I wanted to take a look because I was always intrigued by by how it worked. The things that I really found interesting about this game. Now, I'm not sure, like, this will never be a replacement for GURPS. GURPS will never be replaced by probably any system. But there are some intriguing parts to this, and there is, by the way, a really nice conversion of Magic rules to GURPS rule system, I believe, online, floating around. Never used them, but I've seen them, and they look pretty tempting to use, actually. But Ars Magica, the system, has kind of 4 interesting quirks about it, playstyle, or just details. It first is, much like Rifts, the draw of Palladium Rifts for me is the power disparity between character classes. I find that interesting. Most games are so preoccupied trying to keep everybody in the party balanced. But this game, as Rifts does, just throws that out the window. And yeah, everybody is just so different in their niche that it's hard to even compare power. Yeah, I like that, how they don't worry about the power disparity between characters. There's 3 different types of characters. Grogs, which are like your meathead combatants. And you've got companions, which would be the upper class of human norms in society. So you're a captain of the guard, or you're a great knight. And then you've got your magi, who outshine them all with their magic abilities. The troop style play that this game relies on. Everybody plays a magus, whatever you want to say it, and then you probably bring your companion character along as well, and often one to 3 grog companions for protection as well, since you're a feeble mage. That's interesting to me, how the game revolves around that assumption that you are always just touring around with a handful of characters. And as we have found with randos, it's a lot of fun to have hirelings and lesser important characters in play. It's great to send them into dangerous zones, like check that spot for traps or whatever like that. And it is actually quite entertaining and story driving as well to have character deaths. It just breeds so much great drama. Revenge story arcs come out of it, and all kinds of interesting things that wouldn't otherwise happen if you don't have the drama of a character death along the way. I love it. The older I get, the more reckless I am with characters, it seems. Maybe I'm getting a little more sadistic in my old age, but I'm less attached to my characters and seeing the potential, the story potential more these days. This game focuses on a home base, which is interesting to me because in all my years of gaming, we never had fortresses, bases, lairs, or anything like that, hideouts. We never bothered to do anything like that. We always just traveled around and did our adventures or whatever. This game, you basically start, they recommend that you start by building your covenant, which is your wizard's tower, basically. And the covenant is, it refers to the physical building as well as the oath, the covenant oath sworn to your comrades, which in this case would be your other player characters. And the group of you run basically a wizard's compound, usually in a remote location where you're farming Viz, whatever it's called, which is physical mana, physical magic, which you can use to power your spells. Very interesting. These wells of magic material are almost always in the middle of nowhere kind of places. So you end up basically having a wizard's tower with it turns into a small castle, basically a self-sufficient small outpost, and you attract common folk, peasants to the place, and they run the place, and you look after them, feed them, pay them, whatever you want to do. And yeah, so you build that covenant, the building first. You stat it out in this. It's got a bigger character sheet than the characters do. The Magi are I think it's a 5-page character sheet. Grogs and companions are 1, and the covenant I think was 10 character sheets, 10 papers, single-sided of course. I'm still new to this, so don't quote me on that, but yeah, I was surprised to see that and very intrigued. I like that idea. Some people have mentioned that this game is sort of, it's to sum it up, it's something of a medieval wizard simulation game. If you want to play a medieval wizard simulator, this is your game. You're running your wizard's tower and keeping inventory of your laboratory and the library that it holds, and keeping track of all the peasants and all the food that they're generating. I don't think you have to go that deep into that stuff, but yeah, you're keeping a roster at all times of who's coming and going, and interesting stuff. And the fourth interesting point that this game brings to me is the long-term style of play. You play basically each season of the year. Your characters do something. It's typical that each session you will play out a season. So you may go on an adventure, which may take several sessions to resolve your adventure. But that's typically in game time, a season passes, and then you may spend the rest of the year just in downtime, marking off those seasons and spending your time in research of magic items or new spells or improvements. It's got a really robust, it seems, downtime system for improvement and stuff like that. Your characters are getting good during downtime, and I find that interesting, especially with the Covenant mixed in there, because you're improving your wizard's tower all the time and the defenses of it, or building on, adding on, acquiring new library books, laboratory stuff, something like that. Of course, and there's adventuring. So that's Ars Magica 5th edition. Quick rundown. I'm looking forward to reading more on this. Roll on.